I accidentally found something hysterical, and it's not intended to be hysterical, which makes it even more fucking hysterical. And when I find funny things, I want to share them with my subscribers. MMO Champion is running a series called PvP Like a Pro. They're going to teach people how to be PvP pros. And they happen to find somebody who is extraordinarily qualified, somebody who has the credentials, somebody who has the experience, has been to BlizzCon, competed in tournaments time and time again. No one can argue with this person's success. But the advice that he provides is very nonsensical and ridiculous, to say the least. At least half of it is. And I can't help but find his humor, so let's get into this because this is really, really funny. Competing in Arena can be a lot of fun, but for many players, it's difficult to get started. Recently, we had the chance to sit down with a few of the 2017 EU Arena Regional finalists who let us in on their secrets to success. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to just hand over those secrets so everybody can be as successful as they are. Which they will be presenting over the next few weeks in a 3-part series, PvP Like a Pro. Now, part 1, which is this installment, which is totally fucking useless, which is why it's hysterical. Finding the right partners. Often one of the greatest challenges players face when trying to get started in Arena is finding the right partners. Yeah, that's pretty much true. I mean, I've been casually doing Arena since Kata, and I think I found one consistent, steady guy who I know will show up and be reliable and is still subscribed to the game and is certainly going to tell me where I need improvement and be able to take criticism, willing to improve, willing to take criticism, knows his class, etc., etc. One guy in 6 years. That's pretty good. Now, Alec from Team ABC joined us and broke it down into three major points. Now, he says the basics. Know your class. The most important step is to look up a guide for your class. Now, you can find a ton of guides for any given class on YouTube. The problem is finding someone who actually knows what the fuck they're talking about. Finding someone who is going to go into details and give you what Swifty did in the past, which is that one-shot macro. That theory crafting that's going to give you a little bit of an edge, where he's going to talk about not necessarily what talents to choose, but what situations to choose them in the right situations, the right classes to play with, the right classes that you want to use those talents when playing. Make sure you don't blow defenses at the wrong time, don't blow healing at the wrong time, don't blow short-term damage, don't blow CC, don't repeat, rinse, repeat. There's a lot of things that they don't cover. They just say, choose these talents, sit on a mount somewhere, that's it. That's the video. 50,000 views, 20,000 likes, and basically you learn fucking nothing. There are tons of videos like this. And yes, you will find bits and pieces of useful information, but overall, this information is pretty much useless. So let's go on. There's more fun to be had here. Now, finding the right partner starts with being a good partner for others. Now, that is very true. I agree with that 100%. You want to be able to provide what you're asking for in return. That is something that I've even learned from just dating. There's nothing wrong with wanting to expect something from your partner, but you've got to be able to provide value in return, and that's something I kind of realized from dating. Anyway, you need to be willing to take the time to become intimately familiar with the abilities of your class as well as what other classes can do to counter you. This is the first and foremost thing to success in Arena. That is pretty much true. This is the basics. And he's doing a good job at highlighting it, but this is where he completely fucking loses me, and this is the reason for the video. In Legion, it's quite simple. The most important step is to look up a guide to dealing damage or healing for your class. Alec recommends using Icy Veins to find this information. That is fucking ludicrous. Icy Veins is good for certain things, but when it comes to PvP, no. I will learn more about WoW PvP watching YouPorn than I will looking shit up on Icy Veins. What you need to find out, what some structurally sound advice this guy should give are the kind of things that you should be looking for in videos. We're talking combination and rotation of your abilities. We're talking what to use, when to use it, what classes to use it against, not to waste them, what to look for before. In other words, you don't want to blow. It sounds very simple, but I see people do this all the time. You don't want to blow your damage cooldowns when a paladin has his bubble up. Or even you want to take it a step further and you don't want to blow all those damage cooldowns if he has his bubble available, because a lot of times you're just going to bubble it and you just wasted your burst. The idea here is to get your enemy to commit their big defenses before you use your short-term damage boost. But of course, there's no mention of that. You'll never find that in Icy Veins. That's just something you got to figure out for yourself. Now, there will be videos that will trickle this information out, but for the most part, I think the overwhelming majority of guides on YouTube for classes are fucking trash. Now, he says here, keep it simple. Start with 2v2, which is great if you're melee. If you're a caster, like a Shadow Priest, an Ellie Shaman, a Boomkin, or a Destro Lock or Demo Lock, a twos is a fucking nightmare for you unless you have a healer. And even if you have a healer, it's kind of difficult for a Shadow Priest to get away from a dual melee, especially like if it's a Windwalker Monk and a Demon Hunter. Yeah, good luck getting away from him. Now, he says keep it simple. Okay, once you are confident that you know your class sufficiently, which is pretty much never, because Blizzard constantly changes things, or they change the kind of artifact power or traits that you need, etc., blah, blah, blah. Okay, you should start out practicing in the 2v2 bracket, which I do agree with. Keep it simple. Alex says that he often uses the looking for group system to practice a new class, as his team healer doesn't like playing 2v2 with his alts. And then this is a quote, "They are so friendly, the people in 2v2. That is absolutely fucking bullshit. They are not friendly. They're friendly if you have a north of 2.2k rating. They're very friendly. Then they might even give you gold to PvP with them. But they're not friendly for anybody who's below that. You could even have a decent 1700 rating. They're not friendly. Matter of fact, there's a lot of douchebags on the 2v2 bracket, and let alone in the whole arena ladder. So to say that that's a friendly environment is kind of like going in the middle of the Middle East and basically saying that you're gay and you're going to eat a sausage sandwich. Pretty much the same kind of thing. I don't know. I just got myself in a lot of trouble. And if you guys are doing well, you can stick together in 3v3, and if you are at the right place, right time, you'll increase your rating and you both improve. Yes, it is a good way to meet people, and when you find some synergy, you certainly want to put them on Real ID and do more with them. Maybe try different classes, different mixes. Yes, I agree with that. 2v2, especially when running a healer DPS composition, which of course can mean that your bouts that are going to be less than 2 minutes suddenly are going to be no less than 10 minutes, especially if there's some skill on either team. So now you're basically killing the amount of 2v2 that you can do if you're going to go in with a healer by 5-fold. But yes, he's got a point. Having a healer is better. It can be more manageable source of arena since fewer players means less information to track. Now, he should really go into detail because that's a very, very valid point there. Information to track, meaning information to track on the opposing player's cooldowns, on your team's cooldowns. Certainly, you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're blowing your healing while you're getting healing. All these things to track, all these cooldowns. He should kind of maybe talk a little bit more about that, but no, he doesn't go into detail. All right, whatever. This is far more ideal of a location to practice your gameplay and find partners that you'd want to branch out with into 3v3. Okay, I agree. His overall premise is true. The part about the friendly environment, like I said, give me a sausage sandwich, throw me somewhere in, say, the middle of Saudi Arabia where I can, like, try to hook up with some guys and say I'm gay and eat some pork, and yeah, we'll see how friendly that is. Then he goes into something that I think can't be overstated enough. I 100% agree with what he says here. Attitude matters, the right mindset. Mindset is critical on both sides. It's a critical attribute that you should look for with your partners. In other words, you want people that have the right mindset. The right player does not deflect and does not try to blame. In other words, you want someone who's going to be accountable for their actions and not immediately point a finger of blame at you, which is pretty much never the fucking case, but whatever. He's got a point. I agree with him. And then, of course, they go on to say that this guy, Alec, who they're interviewing, has one of the longest standing team rosters in professional arena, which, big fucking deal. Now, it says, never blame a loss on the ability of your partners. And I do kind of agree with this. I think winning starts with accountability for yourself, not pointing the finger at others. It was Boomer Esiason, former New York Jets, Cincinnati Bengal quarterback, who once said, when you point a finger at someone else, you're pointing another 4 fingers at yourself. And that is very, very true. Alex says that Sea-Doo and his team Method, Reborn, are a good example of having a positive team mindset, which I agree with. His teams are very good since they took a look at what they can do better together as a whole rather than blaming each other. If you have the right partners that are willing to get better and willing to practice with an analytical mindset, you are more likely to succeed. That is very, very, very true. Alec himself, formerly known as Daisy Duke, competed in his first event, the Blizzard Worldwide Invitational, blah, 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 Paris 2008. Congratulations. He definitely knows his way around World of Warcraft arenas and is often praised as the mastermind behind his team's strategies. You can catch him, blah, 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 self-endorse, self-endorse. Okay, this is a fucking joke. This is hysterical. This is Blizzard trying to promote Arena into an esport. And basically the information he provides, we'll start off on the really bad stuff, which is go to Icy Veins to learn your fucking class. Gee, okay, thanks for the tip, pal. You know, in Game of Thrones, Sansa was walking with Littlefinger, and Littlefinger was talking about Cersei, and she's the queen now, and she's very dangerous. And Sansa turns to Littlefinger and says, she killed my father, she killed my brothers, and she killed my mother. And you're telling me that she's fucking dangerous? I mean, she didn't use that word, but she says, you're telling me that she's dangerous? I appreciate the advice, Captain Obvious. And it's the same thing here. I mean, seriously, go to Icy Veins. You gotta be kidding me. That just blows my mind away. That just blows my mind away. So all we have to do to be 2800 rated is go to the friendly area and find partners in the friendly 2v2 environment, which I said is very much like going in the middle of the street somewhere in Saudi Arabia and eating a sausage sandwich and publicly stating that you're a homosexual and you want some dick. Okay, that's about how friendly. Actually, that would be a more friendly environment than the 2v2 environment. And I mean, yes, you do find some decent people, but then you have the other problem of making sure that your time schedules work, making sure that the classes that you both play has synergy together. You also have the situation where, yeah, I find a lot of people that are dedicated and committed and they're willing to be accountable and provide useful feedback and be able to take criticism as well. But the problem is that they don't stay sub to the game because Blizzard constantly finds different ways to fuck things up in the game, especially on the PvP side. So you get a lot of people that, I mean, I must have a list of people that I picked up from doing 2v2 Arena, doing exactly what this pro said, because this is all I have to do is go on Icy Veins and go into friendly 2v2 environment and find people. And I've done that. And yes, I pick up a lot of names. I must have about 15 or 20 names of people I did 2v2s with, and they wanted my ID to do it again in the future, blah, 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 blah. This dates back to WoD. And the overwhelming majority, like 90% of those people, don't even play the game anymore. They're unsubscribed. They haven't logged on for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. I mean, just the other day, I had somebody that I used to arena with who I hadn't really done anything with in 6 or 7 months, just out of the blue, so he was returned to WoW and wanted to do Arena, but I couldn't at that time. And let me give you an example of what my typical experience was like. Because occasionally you will get someone who has a lot of experience in Arena, say north of 2K, 2.2K, and they'll be willing, there will be some people that will be willing to give you a shot if you're a healer, particularly in 2s. They would be willing to give you a shot. They want to PvP with a healer, and they'll give you that shot, as opposed to if you're a DPS, that barrier of entry is really, really tough unless you have the experience in the raiding. That's a fact, people. That's not speculation. That is a fact. But if you're a healer, they'll give you more leeway. And I was healing in WoD on my Disc Priest, my Mistweaver Monk, and my Holy Paladin. Now, I was doing this on an alt account, so I really didn't want to pursue raiding, but I was doing a lot of 2s. And I was on my Holy Paladin, and I happened to find this 2.2K rated Feral Druid. Now, this is during WoD, so Feral Druids were very, very strong during WoD. DKs were pretty strong too, and we were in a 2v2. It was a good fight. It lasted about 6 or 8 minutes, and we killed, I kind of helped along the way, and we were able to take out the healer, but the cost was me, the healer, being taken out again, as well, I should say. And that left a 1v1 of a 2.2K rated experienced Feral Druid. I looked him up, okay? He said he was 2.2K rated. Maybe he doesn't have 2.2K rated on his Feral Druid, but he does have the experience, people. I looked him up. And he was in a 1v1 with a Frost DK. I was dead, the other healer was dead. And the Frost DK had about 8 or 9% health left. He was almost done. My Feral Druid had 90% health. Take a guess who won the fight. Wrong. It was the Frost DK who won the fight. So whose fault is it that a fucking 2.2K rating Feral Druid who's at 90% health can't finish off a Frost DK who's at less than 10% health? Of course, it's my fault as the Holy Paladin dying in that scenario. This is par for the course. This is the norm. This is not the exception. For this guy to call 2v2 a friendly environment is a fucking disgraceful lie. It is not a friendly environment, people. That is, it's friendly for him because I'm sure he's saying 2.8K rated, healer or DPS who's, victor at the French fucking tournament in 2008, blah, 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 blah. I'm sure that's on there, and that's why they're so friendly. God, I mean, does anybody else see the fucking fallacy with this? That this is just not reality. These people are in ivory towers, and they just don't understand what the grunt, grit, and foxhole mentality of this game is. They're just not there. It baffles me. It just drives me insane. I mean, holy cow. So now, I can't wait till part 2, which is where he's going to talk about team composition, which I'm sure he's going to provide some useful insight. But part 1, this is a joke. So people, all you got to do, go to Icy Veins, learn your class there, and go into the friendly 2v2 environment and find people to arena with. I hope you found this useful. Please tune in and subscribe for more information that I could pull off of MMO Champion from the so-called pros. Guys, this is hysterical. I'm done.